You're listening to Traumedy, the podcast that helps you take your pain and play with it. I'm Nancy Norton. I'm a comedian, a registered nurse, and a keynote speaker. I go around telling people about the power of humor. Humor, it can transcend trauma. It does not replace trauma therapy, but it will help you get by between sessions. Our guest this week has been through some trauma and is a serendipitous guest. I took my podcast machine up there to Snowmass, Colorado, where I was doing the Snowmass Comedy Weekend, thinking I was going to interview some comedians, but everybody was too busy. All of a sudden, there was this little window of time, and I met this person in a magical way, and the rest is history. By the way, this is the end of the summer season for Traumedy. We're going to take a summer break. I'm out touring, going to be out there with Moms Unhinged and Nurses Off the Charts. Nurses Off the Charts is in Seattle, Club Comedy Seattle, July 18th. It's not too late to get tickets. That's going to be this week, y'all. This week, Thursday. And then we are going to be in Springfield, Missouri, July 28th. And then in Colorado Springs, Colorado, August 22nd. And I'm moving back into Boulder proper. I'm in Boulder Valley, out by where my son wanted to go to high school. It is time for us to return to our Boulder home. So we'll be moving. A lot going on. Hey, also, if you listen to Ding Dong Death and Taxes episode about the death of my sociopathic ex, which, like Mark Twain said, I have never wished anyone ill, but I have celebrated a few obituaries. And did I tell you one time my son said, I like that you can swear inside of a word like obituaries. He was really little when he said that. Okay. Point is, that person stole my beloved pet from me. Now, granted, he was her pet first, but then he bonded with me for 11 years and was my sweetheart. And it was known that he would always go with me if we parted ways. But then all of a sudden, she just would not let me have this pet. And it was really cruel to him. But I just found out that another ex of hers stole him. Stole him and is loving on him and is taking great care of him. So for the last 17 years, my beloved parrot, and they lived to be like 100. I mean, she even gave him a 50th birthday party. I just love knowing. I'm just so grateful to have this information. That has been the biggest pain in my heart, that I failed my parrot. I still miss him, but I am so happy he has a bonded person. I am just so happy to know about all this. I can't even tell you. So I'm so grateful that my beloved pet is in good hands and got out of that house with that person who has passed on. All right. Now, let's move on, kids. Enjoy this episode. It's a good one. And I'll see you in September. Welcome to Traumedy. My guest this week is in aviation. He's an author. I can't wait to hear about these books. He wrote 2 books, Hell Has No Stars and Axios, Mental Health for the Modern Man. Please welcome to Traumedy, Justin Mercer.
You make me sound a lot cooler than I think I am.
Yeah, well, you're a very humble guy. And I think if we're really being honest with ourselves, are any of us really cool? Is anybody really cool?
No.
I think they're all faking it. I don't know. That's maybe because my comedy special is called Super Dork. So I'm way over on the continuum of uncoolness. But anyway, I just want to say how we met. This is amazing. I do believe in synchronicities. Justin just came up here. We're in Snowmass, Colorado, sitting in the Limelight Hotel, room 201. I don't know. Is that from The Shining?
I hope not.
What's in room 201? There's some construction going on outside. If you hear a bulldozer, we're doing personal construction on the inside. So it was cool. We were watching this comedy. What was it? Cooking with
Comedians? Like Cooking with Comedians, comedy cook-off, something like that.
And Alex Edelman, who's hilarious, I'm going to be opening for his show tonight. We did our show last night. But here he is. His wife is doing the lighting design for the show tonight at the convention center for Alex Edelman. And then she said, go to this comedy show.
Yeah, I was wandering around unsupervised, kind of tagged along on the trip up here, coming up to Snowmass. Why not? Was wandering around an art exhibition unsupervised and get a phone call from her. Hey, this show is happening in 10 minutes. You need to get down there. I'm like, I don't have a ticket. I'm dressed in shorts and a t-shirt, and Snowmass is a far fancier place than I am. Can I go? Yes, just go. My coworker has the ticket. Just go. So I do.
Yeah. And then I also was told, go to this show by the producer, and I wanted to go support Alex. I've actually been on the other side of that. And I did that in Sonoma Valley, and it's not an easy thing to do comedy while you're cooking. So I wanted to support Alex, and then I was looking for a place in the shade, which happened to be right next to you. And we were talking a little bit in class. I felt a little bad because I would like, hey, what are you doing? And I'm in aviation. What are you doing? I'm a comedian and blah, blah, blah. And then it's like, I don't know, kids, if you know Nance, I started talking about getting trapped on the Glenwood Canyon Highway by a fire for an hour. And we got out of our car. And I love that canyon. It's my favorite. It's my favorite little stretch of highway in the United States. And I thought, well, this is kind of all right to get stuck here. And I went and looked up, and there was this beautiful hawk that came right over. And that was one of my spirit signs that everything's okay. Because Siri had just told me, your route is no longer available.
Oh, no.
The road is closed. And so I texted Sarah, like, I may or may not be there tonight. But the hawk said, we're good. And they put the fire out. It was the hawk. But I shared that with you, knowing like, I don't know if this guy's going to be open to hearing about a hawk. And then you're like, hey, actually.
I was like, yeah, actually, I think the hawk is my spirit animal. I have a tattoo of a red-tailed hawk. And we went down this whole road about spirit animals and seeing them in the wild, and, just that connection you can have with someone that might have already gone on, that maybe that's their embodiment still here, trying to tell you everything's okay.
Yeah, it is so reassuring. When you shared the story about your grandfather and the sea turtle, I literally had head to toe truth chills, I call them, all like from my head, down my arms, down my legs. And I was like, oh, I think Grandpa's showing up here at the Limelight.
Yeah. And that story, I went to Puerto Rico for work, I guess about 2 weeks ago. And I have a tattoo of a sea turtle on my arm because my grandfather loved sea turtles, was a huge influence in my life. I credit him partially with why I got into aviation. He was a pilot himself, big into that, and, gave me books, kept me interested. So huge part of my life. And he passed away almost 10 years ago now. And down in Puerto Rico, since he passed, I haven't had a chance to see a sea turtle, especially in the wild. And finally was swimming at a beach, just finished work, decided I'm going to go down to the beach, was swimming, and one of this family was snorkeling, and they had seen my tattoo and gone, oh, I guess you like sea turtles. And I went, yeah. They frantically called me over and went, over here, over here. And so I, as fast as I can swim, which is not very fast, got over there and hung out with a sea turtle in the water for like an hour. And it was magical.
Wow. You will always have that too. I bet you revisit that in your mind a lot.
Oh, yeah. You familiar with the Disney movie Moana?
Yes.
Okay. So the scene where like her grandmother passes and turns into the manta ray.
I'm trying to remember the scene, but tell me more.
Yeah. Passes, turns into the manta ray, and it's a big like moment for Moana to carry on, cross the reef, I think. I haven't seen the movie in a long time, so sorry, Disney fans.
Yeah, sorry, Disney fans. I haven't seen it in a long time either, but I loved it. I remember loving it.
But yeah, I more remember the emotions from that scene and being inspired by her grandmother, and I'm like, that just happened. Didn't have all the cool magical lights and stuff, but might as well have.
Or the song, whatever the song was.
You don't want me to sing. So
I do think there's some quantum physics with it. I don't understand it, but I'm way into connections. And then I'm telling you about, I have a lot of, like, people were kind of coming by, and I think we were talking about certain things from the show, and it just made me share with you, that I do a lot of trauma work in my comedy, and I have this podcast, Traumedy, and you're like, well, coincidentally, I also have worked with mental health and I'm a teacher, and I've written these books, and you're wearing a t-shirt that says you are enough. And my goodness, that is the core. That's kind of the original pain, I think, a lot of us have from infancy on is like, we do not feel like we are enough.
Yeah.
So I'm just so grateful. And I had this thing set up for Sarah to do an interview, and she is so busy producing all these shows, and you're there, and it's just, woo. I mean, this is so cool.
Right. It's crazy how these things work out. Like I wasn't, like you said, we weren't meant to be at that show, and then we both were, and I guess we were meant to be at that show.
Yeah. And like I said, our mission statement is help heal ourselves and others. And you're very, what I already know about you is you're very humble, and you're also you have a lot of self-awareness, because you're like, yeah, I need to apply some of this stuff to myself, but you have a lot to offer. And I don't know your background, but I do want to hear it. Like,
yeah.
Tell me the background, how you came to write these books, or maybe what your childhood, or is there something from your past?
Yeah. I'd say truly a pretty typical mental health story. So that people are going to connect with it. There's a lot that you're going to, oh, okay, I've heard that one before. So high school, I actually skipped most of middle school and went straight into high school, which is a terrible idea. If you're a parent and thinking of having your kids skip grades into high school, don't do it.
You were intellectually precocious. So
sure.
You were, okay. Well, I mean, you're so humble. I can feel that. You're just like, but you were able to skip these grades because you were advanced.
Yeah. I grew up in Alabama, so what is advanced?
All right, Alabama listeners, I actually do have a beef to pick with Alabama. And
there's a lot there.
There's a lot there. But yeah, so grade yourself on a curve.
Yes.
I got you.
So
but let's
pretty
be
average
honest.
for the rest of the country. But for Alabama,
I don't know. I doubt that. So, but you were able to skip 2 or 3 grades?
Really 7th grade, but high school started in 8th grade. So the high school went 8th grade through 12th grade. So I was 13 years old in what amounted to high school.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, I think I was 12 when I
was going to say, I bet you were 12.
I was 12 when I started.
Yep.
Yeah. So you're really haven't hit puberty yet. I was tiny. And sometimes people can be terrible to each other. So I had a pretty rough couple years there in high school. It was a rough start, and finally worked out. By senior year, I had a good group of friends. It was fantastic. Kind of rags to riches story. I went from being the kid that was tossed into the lockers to I was on student government. I was doing the, quote, most popular job of student government, running our student store, which was, social. You're basically the barkeep for the high schoolers.
Yeah. You had the power.
Yeah. You had the Coke and the candy bars and the Doritos, and you had the Game Boy behind the counter that kids could play on the TV. It was a great time. So, big comeback story there. And then I go off to college.
Before you tell me the college story, can you name a time? Was it just because you started growing, you did go through puberty, or is there anything that helped empower you in that between whatever time you're being thrown in the lockers, being bullied? What was there a shift?
Yeah. I tried to convince my parents again. So still not a big kid, and I'm not the most athletic person now. I've tried. I've been semi-sporty some of my life.
You look athletic.
I'll take that as a compliment. When Alex compared me to Tom Brady, that was the nicest thing anyone said to me in many years. So he meant it as a roast. I'm like, oh, I will take this.
Yeah.
But I tried to convince my parents that my high school didn't have a football team. But the big high school down the road did. I tried to convince them that I wanted to move schools so that I could play football.
Oh.
And they were like, are you sure, Mr. History Airplane Nerd, you want to go play football? You hated playing basketball because you got knocked over a lot. And now you want to go try out for the Friday Night Light team in our local area? Like, yes, I do. I really, really do.
And that's in Bama.
Yes, and that's in
Roll
Alabama.
Tide, yeah.
Oh, I went to Auburn, so we're not going to do that one.
Oh, sorry. Well, I'll edit that out.
No, you can leave that one. It's okay.
I don't even know why I said it, just because
it's a very Alabama thing.
It's obligatory.
It is.
Okay.
I get whatever.
But I just mean it's a big football state.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Football state.
It's like the culture there is all around that.
Yes. High school football is a big thing, and there was no way in hell I was making this football team.
But you did convince them.
I tried.
Oh.
They called me on it because they're actually very self-aware people. My parents are incredible.
They're insightful.
My mom, background in psychology and social work. And sometimes it's hard to see that your kids are having issues because you don't want to see that. But she kind of at that was like, okay, something else is going on, because you haven't, besides regular kid growing up in Alabama, interest in football, you haven't really played before.
Yeah, something's not making sense.
Something's not right.
And so she knew, like, that's not it.
Yeah, she's like, that's not you. You're not the quarterback. That's not who you are. So called me on it, and I finally came out to them and said, yeah, I'm being pretty heavily bullied. Which they're like, well, then you need to do something about it, and we're going to help you. So they took me to the principal and were like, hey, this stops today.
Yeah.
And, they went full righteous parent mode like they should. And to the school's credit, they stopped it, which doesn't always happen as a teacher. I've seen the other side, and it's terrible. But I was so thankful they got it to stop.
What a relief.
Yeah. And it, when it stopped, it allowed me to stop being that awkward kid who ran around with his hood up trying to avoid eye contact with people.
Yeah.
It allowed me to sit up a little bit, make some friends, grow a friend group. And then by senior year, yeah, I was your regular average high schooler.
I haven't thought of this before, that we may have listeners that are younger. I don't know if we have any demographics of kids listening to Traumedy. I don't know. But, or parents maybe, that have middle school age kids. Because, I went to my son's middle school when he was being bullied. He didn't want to go back to school. Now, he was also very petite. He's from Nepal. He's adopted. He's brown. He's, got this whatever identity I have, semi-lesbian, quasi. I'm a lesbian emeritus. I always say I've retired, but I am on call if anybody needs a consult. But, so he was picked on in so many ways. He managed the best he could. He tried to make a game out of it sometimes, jumping on people's backs and being, riding them down the hallway because he was so small. Yeah, we want our kids to sometimes fight their own battles. With bullying, that's not realistic. That's not realistic. And if you're being bullied, please get an advocate, because it shifted for my son. And a couple of things that happened too, I just want to drop that in, is I love this teacher because she was like a Naropa. I don't know if you know about Naropa, but it is a different kind of transpersonal psychology. But whatever it was, I loved it because she was the counselor, and they were bullying him about being adopted, saying nobody loved you. And it just makes me want to cry to hear that.
Jeez.
I have to do my parasympathetic reset because it's that's my baby. So he was like, I just don't want to go in there, But she was like, all right, Nathaniel, I'm going to let you take the day off. But she just had this matter-of-fact attitude with him. And I'm sure there was other stuff going on behind the scenes that I didn't know about. But as far as he was concerned, she's like, I'm hearing you, and I just want you to know who you are. And you are a warrior. I want you to know, your feelings are valid, but tomorrow when you come to school, I need you to wear your armor, and I need you to be a warrior. And I saw him stand, his back, he just changed his posture, and he was I could just see him feeling it. And he's like, I can do that. And I don't know if that's healthy or not, because I know we all mask a little bit when we're vulnerable. And I imagine they also talk to some of the kids. But I'm just saying it changed for him. And he kind of took care of himself a little bit in that way, just validated his feelings, but also here's a layer for you. But I don't know that he was ever being thrown into lockers. I think his was more psychological abuse, which is also terrible.
Most of mine was psychological. The locker thing only was once or twice. But the psychological gets to you.
I think it's almost worse, because sometimes you can just okay, that happened and it's in the past. But I don't know. It does make you walk around getting worried about being blindsided. Like you said, trying to duck around. But I love hearing that your parents advocated for you. The school responded. I wonder what they did. I wonder how they were able to convince a bully or get to his parents. Or
I think they threatened the kid with getting kicked out. So it was a private school. My parents, we were not private school class, but they sacrificed a lot so that I could be.
Okay.
And I got scholarships, all that good stuff to go there. So another layer of why they were really, you want to throw away going to this school that you worked really hard to get into, and
is going to give you so many.
We're working hard to keep you there.
Yeah, it's going to give you so many advantages in life for your next chapter, which we were getting to.
Yep.
So, okay, so you got advocate. You shifted. It freed up yourself to be more in your authentic self.
Yeah.
And then you got empowered.
I was, I in high school, one way I made friends was I'm really good at history, and I became a history teacher for quite a while before I got into aviation. I would do all the flashcards, and if most people don't like history, and I get that, no offense, but I would do the flashcards for class. I'd be like, oh, I got this, guys. Here you go. And suddenly people were like, oh, it's okay to have a nerd as a friend. I took something. This is in college. This is in high school.
No,
still.
wait. This is still in high school.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Still high school.
And you're helping your buddies with flashcards.
Yeah.
And you're empowering them because you had these skills, and you're like, here's how you pass a class.
For me, this stuff was fun. I mean, I'm gonna go read about the Battle of Waterloo, and for them, their eyes are gonna gloss over, and they're gonna wish they weren't there. So,
and it also helps you learn, because teaching. Yeah. That's some counselor told me that my son would learn better if he started teaching the students that were in years before him or something like that. He was not advanced, but he was good at certain things. Yeah. So teaching, you learn through teaching too.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. So, stuff like that built up to be much better in high school, and then got some scholarships to college. I actually tried to come out here to Colorado from Alabama initially, went to Colorado State, toured it, loved it. Out-of-state tuition is pricey, so did not go to Colorado State. I knew I was going to get out here one day, and I did, but wasn't meant for college. So I went to local in-state school, Auburn. Love it. Got a scholarship to go there from the Army to join ROTC, which, I wanted to fly. I'm like, okay, helicopters are cool. I want to do that. I personally don't think I'm very cut out for the military.
Too much of a critical thinker, or
might be.
Okay.
There's that guy screwed up. I did everything right. Why am I having to do push-ups because he mouthed off to you? Stuff like that. But
yeah, that's that group mind though. Yeah. We're all in, or we'll sanction that guy. Yeah, I know.
And truthfully, it wasn't that bad. The real issue was I was on a 3-year scholarship. So it would kick in during my sophomore year. And this was right during late President Obama's term, when he was trying to cut back military spending. So they're not going to cut buying the newest fighter jet. They're going to cut the scholarships of the 3-year kids because they want the 4-year kids, but the 3-year kids are more expendable. So I got called into an office with a couple other cadets, and they went, hey, that money you thought was going to be here next year isn't here. Thanks for what you've done. Have a great one. So,
oh my God, did they turn you into a Republican right then? Or you already one? I don't want to. You don't have to say what you are. But I was just like, that might do it.
No, I was like, oh my God, are you kidding me? And it was, I had worked really hard for it, and I'm forgetting my own story here. So very second week of freshman year, you have a random roommate, and you're in dorms that were designed by the same person who made state insane asylums. They look like it. They've got the concrete walls, 2 beds in a tiny space. Well, I'd never really been a fighter before, but I got in a fight with my roommate that very second week of college, and that was traumatic. So,
whoa, power struggle over which bed?
Oh God, I wish. He was pledging a fraternity, and to credit, I ended up in a fraternity during my sophomore year. We'll talk more about that. But he was pledging a fraternity and came back one night just gone. 50 sheets to the wind, gone. Didn't know where he was.
Oh no.
I make sure he's in his bed.
Oh no. Yeah.
Well, he had a lot to drink, and when you have a lot to drink, you got to use the bathroom.
Oh no.
He never made it to the bathroom and made it to my bed instead.
I saw this coming.
Yeah, so that...
He used your bed as a urinal?
With me in it.
God!
So I just wake up to that, and...
Oh, no.
Yeah, rough one. So obviously I'm not that kinky because I didn't enjoy it. But...
All right.
Yeah, so wake up, and I shove him because I don't know really what's happening. And then he swings, we both swing. RA comes in, and because I threw the first punch, I'm out, and I am on housing suspension, meaning I can't have a roommate because I am a danger to others. And if I do anything on campus out of line again, I'm gone from the university.
And that's on your record.
Yeah.
And this guy, I think throwing a piss is a punch. Don't you think that's an assault with liquid?
It actually legally is.
It is.
I looked that up
know
after
that with
fact.
the police for a fact. Do some kind of liquid at somebody.
Yeah.
That wasn't a...
Now,
so, okay. Anyway, I hate injustice, but that was not justice.
In hindsight, we're both stupid college kids. It wasn't right either way, but they didn't have to come down on me like that. So I'm already isolated because I don't have a roommate, and then go through the year just kind of isolated in my room alone. With ROTC, though, so I still have people I'm interacting with. You can kind of see where this is building to. ROTC gets cut out from under me, and I feel like the world's ending, and I have nowhere to turn, nowhere to go. I really haven't made any friends outside of that, and they weren't really the best friends anyway.
You weren't quite vibing.
No.
With the ROTC crew.
Not exactly.
Yeah.
So it turned into a lot, and we financially weren't doing too well after the whole economic crash. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to have to get more loans. I have no college savings. We had to use those to make sure that, the house didn't go away. Like, I'm screwed, and I've screwed my family. I don't even deserve to be alive.
Whoa.
So an event happens. I did have a moment where I thought that I didn't want to be on this earth anymore, and that it would be better for me to be gone.
And it's more of almost like an act of trying to take care of your family in a weird way. Like, I'm a burden.
I felt like a terrible burden, that I didn't matter, that I'm not worth, I am taking up everyone's time and air. What's the point? I'm never going to be successful. I clearly can't do anything correct because look at this past screw up of a year. And yeah, it just was very bleak. So that's kind of what that event really got me to write Hell Has No Stars, because when you're feeling that and you're about to take action on those thoughts, you're in a very, very dark place. So
you lose all perspective.
Oh yeah.
And so that you started writing?
After that, yeah, because I've always enjoyed stories. My dad is an author too, and he's published like 15 or 20 books at this point.
Wow.
So, he would grow up telling my bedtime stories became stories that he wrote.
Wow.
Which was awesome. And that kind of, I've always had that, and that kind of has inspired me to keep writing. So afterwards, one of his suggestions was, well, hey, why don't you write it down to try and, help yourself through it?
And this is where we get kind of back to the traumedy idea of like moving things, processing, expressing it. I say this a lot is like, if we don't express it, it makes an impression. It's either expression or impression, and the impression, depression.
Yep.
Ugh. So you had a way. That was great.
Yeah.
But did you have a suicide attempt?
Yes.
And then you were rescued, or you were helped? Or
didn't go through with it, and much like asking to transfer to another school for football, it was a really close attempt, but wasn't hurt enough to go to the hospital or anything like that. So the next day I was at home. I had come home for, I think it was spring break or some holiday that, you remember it gets kind of fuzzy when you're going through some trauma.
Yeah.
I don't really remember that time that well, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
But I was at home, and my family had gone out for the evening, and I decided not to. And I was going to intend to not be there when they got back.
Wow.
But I was, and the next day, my mom could tell something was wrong. My dad, I think it was a Saturday morning. He's like, hey, you want to help me cut the grass? I'm like, yeah, sure. And then just kind of started crying at the kitchen table. So my mom's like, okay, what happened? And you can't really lie. I'm not very good at lying, especially to my mother.
Because we see it. So
I started, oh no, I'm fine. Just, hard time. And she's like, really? And then I came clean and said what I had wanted to do the night before. And she's like, all right, we're getting you some help. You're going to be okay.
I like your mom so much.
She's pretty amazing.
I gotta give a shout out to your mom. But I'm sorry to interrupt you. So she said we are going to get you some help.
Yep. So, and thankfully both my parents were so supportive in the mental health journey, because I very much understand that there is a stigma out there and people are worried that their parents might not be.
Yeah, for me, I'm going to say, I'll be honest, but I'm a lot older than you, probably twice as your age. I'm 63. And in the 60s, it might have been early 70s, I was going through something. And I remember, I don't think I was really going to jump out. It was only a second story window.
Yeah.
Okay. It was just, I just was feeling like it was kind of middle school time and just feeling really, whatever, frustrated, down, powerless. I was saying to somebody down there, I'm going to jump out of this window. And I can't remember who it was. My sister might have been down there. And I don't know. I was probably just being dramatic. But what happened to me, my mother ran in the room. And rather than like, let's get you some help. Do you need to see a psychiatrist? What is wrong with you? It was like that. That's the old, like that was a threat. Like, I'm going to threaten you with a psychiatrist. Now, cut to, I've been in therapy for at least 20 years, 30, maybe 30. I adore, psychiatry is like my therapist, psychologist. I can't even say it. I think everyone should have a therapist. Personally, if you are in this world, let's admit that there's some crazy duality in this world. There's some insanity in our culture. I don't trust, honestly, I don't trust people that don't go to therapy. I'm like, why do you not go to therapy? But your mom, so back to.
Yeah. So she ended up, like I said before, she had a background in psychology and social work. So for her, it wasn't that alien. For my dad, it was still like, oh my God, what did I do? And in the years since, though, he's been amazing. Like, you're always, I think as a young guy, if you're lucky enough to have your father in your life, you are so worried about being a disappointment to him. And he has done absolutely everything so that I know that I was not and have never been one.
And that you are enough.
Yeah, that I'm enough. And, he really pushed me. He's like, hey, your writing's actually really good. And yeah, I get you're writing this for yourself, but if you wanted to, you could do something with this. So I did, which obviously is cutting out a lot of the middle there, but ended up writing my whole story down for Hell Has No Stars with the idea that there's still, this was 2013, 2014, so 10 years ago, there is still a lot of stigma around mental health, especially for guys. We're supposed to be stoic, strong, never show any weakness, that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So for me, I wanted to be like, well, hey, I'm a pretty average person, and this is something that I went through. I don't think I'm special or extraordinary or anything, just pretty regular. And I want to be like, hey, here's this story about my ride through all of this. Maybe it will help you knowing that someone went through something similar.
That's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love this title. Hell Has No Stars. Wow, that's a poignant title.
So I'm dramatic. I love, history, poetry. My undergrad thesis was on romanticism in World War I. So nerd. But the title comes from Dante's Inferno, which was, pretty impactful story of Dante Alighieri and his journey through hell. He goes with the Roman poet Virgil, and, they kind of wander through hell. And for Dante, it's kind of a slam piece. He's going through and names people that are still alive. He's like, yeah, you're in this circle, because it's like a diss track, but from the 1500s. But it's a pretty beautiful story. And at the end, Dante's at the bottom level of hell, which in his story is, where Satan and the like betrayers are. It's a really dark, cold place. Ice. Not fire, not hot, but ice. So I kind of felt during my attempts and all that stuff, icy. You know, you feel numb, you feel dead inside.
Isolated.
Yeah. So in Dante's feeling all this stuff in his version of hell, and at the very end, Virgil grabs him and they start climbing out through this tunnel. And there's a line in one of the last lines is, and once more saw the stars, because there are no stars in hell. And I even had a whole like personal backstory of why, oh yeah, stars are incredible. I've always loved space. I mean, who doesn't? It's so cool. And one of the stories I tell in Hell Has No Stars is I was with my grandfather and we were in the Grand Canyon and we're sleeping outside, bottom of the Grand Canyon. He's in a tent because he's smarter than I am. I'm outside because I'm like 14 and trying to, I'm braving the elements. Well, crazy thunderstorm rolls through, sandstorm. I'm like being sandblasted. I'm sure my skin was the best it had ever been.
So exfoliated.
But so framed by the walls of the canyon, this storm, which has just been unleashing chaos and hell, like lightning everywhere. And I'm like, at this point, if I move from here, am I going to get struck by lightning? I'm just going to stay where I am. And I was kind of rewarded for that. So it's like a curtain being pulled back, and I saw the night sky the clearest it had ever been. So between that personal story and Dante coming out of hell and saying, and once more saw the stars, I'm like, that's my title. Hell Has No Stars. Because when you're in that dark place, you can't see the beauty that's just right behind that veil.
Yeah, and had you run, or I heard some analogy about buffalo and cows or something with storms, that cows will run from a storm, but they end up staying in it longer.
Yeah.
And then buffalo turn into the storm and they get through it faster. Huh. I don't know. I can't remember where I heard that. I don't know why it just came to me. But also this idea of sitting still in your fear, or just having that stillness, and maybe you got access to a higher wisdom. I don't know, but some knowing that you're just like, I'm just going to stay right here and see what happens. And then you got rewarded. Here's what I would have done. I would have run into my grandpa's tent because I'm like, oh, Grandpa, I made a mistake. Let me in. And you were just like 14-year-old stoic kid, just like, I made this choice. So,
yeah. I'm very much, I've made this choice. I'm out here. Let's just ride it out and see what happens.
You just, like man up kind of thing. Like I'm going to tough it out. And you had this, sleeping bag?
It was a sleeping bag and a tarp. And you're 14. You're like, I can fight a thunderstorm. I'm, foolish. And today I'm like, if there's lightning and we're hiking, I'm like, we're getting off the side of the mountain.
I don't need to do this again.
I'm like, we've already been here. Let's not do this again.
But you were that age. You were 14, which reminds me of, when I hear about like indigenous people, the vision quest, the rite of passage. It was almost like you did that to yourself.
Yeah. I mean, so many cultures have like the become a man ritual throughout time and place. I mean, that's been a thing. And it's something that stuck with me so much. I can vividly feel the sand all over me still. I can hear the thunder, feel the rain, the driving wind. And then the most vivid thing I can see is the walls of this canyon, and the clouds just pull, like these dark, wicked clouds, like pulling back like a curtain. And then other side, you just see the Milky Way. I mean, we were in the middle of nowhere, so beautiful night sky, more stars than I've ever seen, probably even since then.
No light pollution. No
light pollution, just incredible.
Crisp. I can almost see it. I've been on a bow of a ship when I did cruises, and you could be in the middle of the ocean.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, I didn't know there were that many stars out there.
Yes. It's something that one, I don't know what the other side looks like. I don't know what you see when you go. I kind of imagine it's going to be something like that, right? Like
you mean like leaving this earth into disembodied?
Yeah, like, the curtains pulled back and here's...
I almost heard like that aria or something. when you did the curtain thing, I was like, oh!
I mean, kind of, and I was just awed by how grand the universe is. And here I am, this sentient being at the bottom of this giant canyon on this ball
that took millions of years to create. Like, you're so intelligent. You're knowing, like, I'm in the bottom of this thing that took millions of years
next to this like raging Colorado River, and here is this incredible view,
the cosmos above you.
And because I was the only idiot to sit out there in the storm, I'm the only one that got to see it.
Yeah.
So I don't know what kind of moral that part is, but it stuck with me.
Well, I'm in a recovery program for adult children of alcoholics and dysfunctional families. I don't know if I'm supposed to say that. It's an anonymous program, but I'm in one of them. Anyway, point is, what we're learning and what I'm learning is that we make other people our higher power. And that's where, as a codependent, I've gotten in trouble. But when it's just between you and all that is, that's where you're enough. Like, I'm witnessing this. And it's like, almost like Eckhart Tolle talks about in The Power of Now. I am witnessing this with like my higher self. Like, it's like you were with but I know what you mean. Like, there's a part of us that wants to see it together with somebody. We both saw that, but isn't that cool? That makes it more sacred. That rite of passage thing, all alone. It's solo.
Only me. It's just me. No one else saw that, and it's a spark on my journey. It's something that, like I said, has stuck with me, and it's obviously impacted me enough to be a tie-in for the title of a book, and for me to bring up here. I mean, it's 15-ish, 16-ish years on, and it still burns bright in my memory, and I don't think I'm ever going to forget that.
Yeah. I just feel there's a word sacred. It just feels like it was a sacred space, that rite of passage vision.
Yeah. I mean, and you feel so insignificant in that moment, but also so connected, that I'm next to this river that is downstream powering this dam that is powering a city off in the distance.
Oh, wow.
This massive thunderstorm just was blowing me about, throwing sand everywhere, lightning and thunder crashing around. And then this absolute serenity after it. I mean, it's magical. There is that spiritual, that connection, that, wow, I am so insignificant here to all of this, and yet here I am. I get to be a part of it.
Woo! That's all I need for today. Thank you.
Yeah. In darkness, in the story, Dante's like, this climb is never going to end. I'm now out the bottom of hell. What is there? This isn't going to end. Are we even going back to the surface? I don't know. And then they break out.
Yeah.
And
there is a way through. There is a way through.
He looks up and sees the stars. So, yeah, it just, for me, I'm like, all right, this is poetic, and I feel smart with this title. Let's go with it.
It also just really resonated.
Yeah.
I mean, a deep resonance, it sounds like. I know, you don't want to be pretentious. It's more than that. It really is truly that poetry of the soul that came through you. That's beautiful. And that you want to share it, because we were talking before I started recording, and I think it's an important talking point about, quote unquote, typical male in our culture, whatever that is. But people like me who have identified differently, like I have a weird eye. I look, like a boy. I think the neighborhood people always thought I was one of the Norton boys. So I grew up as a tomboy. So I was, I was marginalized from an early age. So I was always kind of outside. There are things about me I couldn't mask. Let's put it that way. I can't mask. I can try and pull my eye in, but just for short periods of time. So I'm just saying, when we, like, I think what you're saying earlier, like people who are either identified in the LGBTQ or perhaps marginalized by race, or like my son's adopted, or things like that, where it's like I feel are more willing to say, I am being challenged by this culture right now. Whereas if you're in the power seat in the white male patriarchy, for you to say, this is hard for me, like, you're not allowed to. You're not allowed to have a problem, because you can mask it, you can fake it. And I mean, but what you're trying to say is, don't be isolated with that, and don't struggle alone.
Exactly. Yeah. I think that certain affinity groups do a really great job of supporting their community.
Yeah, affinity groups. That's great. Okay, good terminology.
Affinity groups. There was another smart word I had for it, but yeah, affinity groups.
That's just good. Yeah.
I think marginalized people do a really fantastic job of recognizing, hey, there is something that I'm marginalized for, but I have these people to come together with and celebrate me for me.
Yeah.
I think just generic guys, whatever, race, sexuality, if you just identify as average, which I'm pretty average. I mean, the guy compared me to Tom Brady because, not a bad looking dude by any means, but, pretty normal, right? It's hard to, especially like you said, you're in the power seat or you feel you should be because everyone's telling you should be. You're not allowed to have problems because, hey, this stuff has happened and you may have unintentionally perpetuated it, but you do.
Yeah.
So my second book is kind of trying to get at like, hey, average Joe out there, it's okay to not be okay.
That's the Axios, the mental health for the
modern man, yes.
For the modern man.
Which I like that title a little bit less. I love the Axios is fantastic. I love
What
that
is Axios? Name. What is that from?
So I'm going to show you another tattoo. Here's one. It says Axios. So history nerd, there's a history story behind it. And
I love can I tell you I'm an oral learner because I do have dyslexia and my eyes are on two lines. Yeah. So I love learning orally. Like, tell me a story.
Perfect. I will. So Roman Empire, because that's all guys think about. When that was a meme, I guess a couple months ago now, I was like, yes, everyone finally understands what it's like to actually be a history nerd. I do think about this stuff. And then it went away and everyone's like, oh, you do? I'm like, yes, I do. I listen to, Mike Duncan's Roman Empire Roman Republic, Roman Empire podcast. I'm like, yeah, yes.
Oh, I don't even know about it. Oh. Okay.
Mike Duncan,
check it
fantastic
out.
Guy.
Okay.
Good stuff. Revolutions too. Great series. Anyway. So Axios is kind of an apocryphal story, but told enough that I'm just going to go ahead and say it's real. So during the reign of Emperor Nero in the Roman Empire, so Nero wasn't the best dude. If you grew up Christian, he's the one that threw all the Christians to the lions. But aside from that and the religious slant to it, he objectively did some rough stuff to the Roman people. Wasn't very well liked by a lot of Romans for a lot of reasons. I think they probably give him an unfair treatment because he was different. Dude was an actor. Like, he was an actor and a playwright. Like, how bad could he actually be? But then he did also torture people. There
was that little torture thing.
Little column A, little column B. So he was not well liked by the people at the time. Especially those in power. They favored this person, General Gnaeus Corbulo. Corbulo was a general in Nero's army and had been on campaign. All of his soldiers, who are the regular people, loved him because he would fight with them, lead from the front. Just an example of, this is a good dude. We respect him. And all of the other nobles and highborn people started going, hey, the people respect him. We like him. Maybe he's worthy of being emperor. And to Corbulo's credit, he was like, are you kidding me? No, I serve the emperor. I'm not going to do this. Don't put that evil on me.
Yeah, he doesn't want it.
No.
Okay.
But Nero is kind of paranoid because he's been hearing all these stories about this very popular guy who does have an army, maybe wanting to become emperor.
Okay.
And Nero's like, ooh, you don't just give up the job of emperor. You kind of lose your head if you're going to have someone take it over. So Nero orders Corbulo to come before him. And Corbulo kind of knows where this is headed. Nero goes, all right, you're such a great servant to me. Die for me. And Corbulo kind of goes, okay, and falls on his sword Now, his last words, apparently, he looks at Nero, and his last words are, "I am worthy." Axios.
Ooh.
So pretty spicy, pretty powerful. And less than a year later, Nero is deposed as emperor. So it's just a powerful story of someone finally declaring, you know what, I am worthy. And I do wish it didn't end with him dying, but I can't write perfect history. So, but hey, it's a cool story, and I love the whole, but declaring you are worthy.
And this is not, I don't know what's going on in my mind. Declaring you are worthy, and that you are not just worthy, you are trustworthy. I don't know if that's the same meaning that you were going for, but I mean, he is worthy of being exactly in the position he was in, and that loyal. But I was just thinking, better to die. And this is, I don't know, now this is going to sound bad. Like, I don't want people to kill themselves. First of all, let me just say,
asterisk right here.
don't end your life. But I was just thinking, would I rather, I had a dream about this. This is why I'm saying this. I had a dream of a past life, and I do believe in past lives. But it was like my ex-boyfriend and his father, and they were this powerful, in my mind. His dad was like this brilliant psychoanalyst, and my ex was a very scholarly guy. And in this dream, I was in a past life, and they were the king and the, I guess, I don't know, prince, whatever. But they wanted me to bow before them. And they were like, bow before us. And I would like, never. And I mean, they cut my head off. That my ex-boyfriend in that lifetime, his dad said, off with her head. And I was like, I happily die before I bow to you. And so it was like, and I know that's not the sentiment of General. What is it? Kind of
Corbillo. And it's kind of the same idea, though. That like, defiance of that. No, I am going
to honor myself. And ironically, like this guy is like, I'd rather die you knowing who I really am, and then betray myself, even though I could have killed you.
Yeah.
Like I could have clearly, these men would have easily followed me and killed you, but I would rather die a noble person than to do that. I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't, I'm stretching here, but
it's the right idea though, right? Like die how you live, I guess, is the same thing. And to me, it spoke to me because at the very end, he was finally able to look this person in the face. He's had all these people chirping in his ear, telling him he should take over and be emperor. He's worthy of being emperor. Nero's not worthy. You are. And he stuck to his guns. He's like, I am me. This is my lane. I'm going to stay who I am because I'm not a rebel. I don't want to overthrow the emperor until the very end. But I just love that his last words are to Nero, like, I am worthy of sitting in, like, I'm worthy of you.
Oh, see, now I missed that meaning.
And it scared Nero to death. Like, he was like, oh, did I just mess up? And he did. Yeah. Corbillo's second in command ends up leading an army that chases him out. So,
and we know the second in command is always the power hungry one.
Exactly.
I want to distract you from where you were going, but I had this thing come through me where I was just telling somebody else I used to do hospice nursing, and then my goal became to die with peace. And I would say that General Corbillo?
Bulow.
But General Corbillo, am I saying it right?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No, I'm not.
Yeah.
Corbillo.
Close enough.
Okay. He died with peace.
Yeah.
And that is my goal. And what I want to loop this back to is I feel like I'm honoring my life purpose. I feel called to do this. I feel called to do comedy. I'm doing a lot of shows for nurses. I want to help keep them healthy. And I just want to encourage everyone to live your life purpose. This is not about like falling on a sword. This is about be true to yourself. And man, life is easier when you really are clear, like, here's my life purpose. Then doors just start opening. I don't know if you've had this experience, but for me, doors just kind of open. And I probably should work a little harder, but I just let people call me and invite me to do gigs because I love doing it and I love being of service. And I know I'm raising the frequency most of the time, unless I drink too much bourbon. It's a fine line. But I'm just saying, it kind of ties into that whole thing of living your purpose. And it sounds like to me, your purpose is tell me if I'm wrong and tell me what you feel it is. But I know you're a teacher, you're a helper healer. You don't want your suffering to be for no reason. I mean, and you don't want other people suffering what you've suffered. And yeah, you can hide behind, the mask. And it is scary to admit, like, I have a problem. But man, tell me the good things that have happened since coming out as someone who struggled.
And just to kind of more neatly wrap that part up, no, it is not about falling on the sword. I chose the title Axios for that, and I got a tattoo of it to remind myself that I am worthy as I am. Because I struggle with that still, Am I worthy of where I am in life, the job I have, the relationship I have, whatever it might be? I still struggle with that. And it's something that I have struggled with since I was young, Am I worthy to be at this school? Am I worthy to have skipped a grade? Am I really that smart? Am I worthy has been a burning thing, common theme in my life. So I chose it to kind of say the declaration, yes, I am. Axios, I am worthy. Not because he fell on his sword. I just love the story because he, is a person that didn't acknowledge it and finally did. And yes, it ended tragically for him. But again, can't write perfect history. However, I do think that rings more true. And yes, since I kind of have opened up about it, I mean, I got on this podcast,
Here we are.
Here we are. Some cool things have happened. I ended up in a bunch of organizations in college that I probably wouldn't have joined. I joined a fraternity despite having my bad experience with a frat kid the year before.
Yeah.
I joined the Boy Scout fraternity though because I'm a nerd.
What is that? The Boy Scout fraternity?
So the Alpha Phi Omega is the officially sanctioned scouting fraternity of college.
I never heard of this. Yeah. Is it like mostly Eagle Scouts in there? Or?
It started as that, and then they actually became co-ed before Boy Scouts became co-ed.
Well, now girls...
And now Scouts is co-ed.
Yeah.
But this was way before.
Before that. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but this fraternity is...
Yeah.
I never heard of that.
It's all about community service and giving back and all that stuff. So I found a good group there. I joined another organization called Active Minds, which is about mental health on college campuses. And ended up doing a lot with them. For me, one of the coolest experiences with that, and I wish that they had shown my book. I did a very similar talk with Kate Snow and Lester Holt of
Lester Holt from the news,
Nightly News, and it was really cool.
Through that organization, Active Minds.
Yes,
and they interviewed you about mental health on campuses.
Yes,
and your book.
Yep. Did a lot with my local chapter at Auburn to try and expand our counseling center, get some more counselors because we had a university of, I would say around 30,000. When we started, we had about 10 counselors. That's a lot of people to try and serve.
Yes.
So they got a whole new counseling center. They got a satellite office, and then expanded their numbers. I think they're up to at least 30 counselors now, which... Still, that's a lot of people to serve, but small steps,
But it's an improvement, and you made it better.
Yeah. So great things like that really never would have happened. I mean, it gave me the confidence to try teaching. I didn't really know I was getting a history degree, but I didn't know what I was going to do with it. After college, I went and volunteer taught in American Samoa for a little while, and thought it was pretty cool. Came back, got a master's in education. And then all of it goes back to the whole, I finally had some confidence in myself and was willing to let myself be myself, and
just be.
Yeah.
Man, that's your birthright. I feel like that's our birthright. Yeah. And so few of us, I have moments of it. I have glimpses of just being in between self-criticism.
I talk a good game, but oh man, I'm my biggest critic.
But this is cool. So doors have opened. And then you met your partner. Is it your wife or your girlfriend?
Wife. We go back and forth between what to use. Partner, wife. We We say both.
Long-term relationship.
Yes.
You met somebody, and she's up here she's in the creative arts. She's in theater.
Yes.
Which, it's a great combo with you said you like to be dramatic, so.
It works.
And I don't know, I was just thinking too, kind of going to loop back to the very beginning, because what I've learned is I can dive deeper into hell if I'm resourced. You had the resources of your parents, thank God. And here's a guy who's got like really supportive parents. So you don't have to have like this huge traumatic childhood to have struggles. I mean, I just think it's inherent in our culture. I don't even know where it all comes from. I don't know anyone who is born feeling worthy. I haven't met them yet. I haven't met anybody that feels perfectly okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's just inherent in the human condition. But going back to kind of the spiritual aspect, I don't know how you feel. I feel like I said earlier, I didn't talk about it on the podcast, but I was telling you at lunch that my grandma shows up as butterflies. My dad kind of shows up as as hawks and sometimes different birds. But point is, I feel resourced by spirit energy, and I don't understand that, but I feel like something there has empowered me enough to have resilience, some grit, and also just tolerance. Like and humor helps me too. Just laughing about something, like if I'm going to look at some of this stuff from my psychedelic trauma therapy, I got to have some resources. So I don't know. I think humor is kind of a language of higher power.
Oh yeah. And going through it all sucks, but at this point I do laugh about it because it's just a story. It's the story of my life. And I laugh about how I ended up, I wouldn't have been able to live life how I did if I didn't experience the trauma I did, and I wouldn't be the person I am.
That's it. That's right.
I wouldn't want anyone to go through it, but for me, I think it turned me into who I am, and for that, I'm okay having gone through it. Yeah.
And grateful for it, probably.
Yeah.
I have a state of gratitude. I always say gratitude is the new happiness, but also think about it. You're more authentic. If you hadn't let yourself go to the depths of hell that day or night, you might not have known yourself as well. You might not get a chance to know the shadow side, whole Jungian psychology, to know your shadow, is not everybody's willing. And that's where I think where you're saying earlier about the perpetuity, like if you haven't dealt with your trauma, unfortunately, you may offload it onto your children, people around you. I'm sure the bully had a lot of self-hate that he was offloading onto you in middle school. Not okay.
No.
But I'm saying if he had dealt with his pain and trauma, you wouldn't have been receiving that.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's not just a great thing to do for yourself, but almost like something we owe our community is to live an authentic life. Authenticity is my love language, and transparency and just being you. It's okay to be divinely imperfect.
Yeah. I love the phrase, it's okay to not be okay. And the corollary to that is it's okay to be okay. Just be you, regardless of who, what, when, where, how. If you're living life to be your best self, then fantastic. And I think that's something that we should all celebrate. And yeah, as a journey, it's been fascinating. I mean, I feel like I'm 30, but I feel like I've lived, multiple lifetimes in one, very distinct chapters. It's been interesting, and it's been a privilege to be able to do that. And, with my books, know that I've helped at least one person. Like, that is so freaking cool. Yeah. One day I just got
ooh, there's a big bulldozer.
There was the bulldozer.
Yeah, sorry, kids. Just boom. Okay.
Digging deep over here.
Say that sentence again.
Yeah. Some of the coolest things, because, I didn't really advertise that I put out a book. I made a post on Facebook because that's what everyone did back in the day, and said, hey, wrote a book. All my friends liked it. The end. I had gotten messages before of people that no idea who they are, that would send me, find my author page on Facebook, which I don't even think I've opened in like 5 years, and would send a message and say, hey, thanks for writing that. I'm a mom and my kid is going through something and I needed to hear that.
Wow.
Or I
love it.
Hey, I'm a guy, I went through this, or, I'm this person, this is what I'm experiencing. Thank you. We're not the same, but wow, I needed to hear that somebody else went through something.
Thank you.
It's been that's some of the most rewarding things ever, because they're not people I'm ever going to meet. They're not people that are, I don't get rich off of this. I don't even know if my book is, I should see if I'm making any money on that.
Maybe something to check on.
Yeah, it might be something to check on, but
This is a good reminder, and maybe it's going to get a little more activated. I'm similar in that I haven't advertised Traumedy, and I'm going to start getting the reach. I wanted to see if I had the commitment, because with my ADHD, I have a lot of times a lack of follow through, but I upload this every Tuesday, and I've done that this is my second season, and I can tell it's supported. I just know it's something that needs to happen because it's happening. And I wanted to make sure, like, am I really committed to this before I try to get the reach out there?
Yeah.
And I think I am. And I am hearing from the people who are getting it, similar to what you're saying, is it really resonates. And when we're authentic, we're vulnerable, we're sharing our truth the best we can, there's somebody out there who's gone through that and needs to hear that. And that's why we're doing this. And I thank you for doing this. I'm going to put in the show notes, there'll be a link. I'll find a link to your books, and maybe a way. Would you be open to people reaching out
Sure,
to you?
yeah.
I don't know if you have a website, or would it be through Facebook, or is there a way through your book that they would find you?
I think I still have a Facebook page. Yeah, we'll find something.
You send me something.
Yeah, I'll
if you're open to.
Yeah, I definitely am. Yeah.
I'm happy to know you. We both live in the greater you live in Denver and I'm in Boulder, so I have a funny feeling we're going to work together some more. And who knows what? I don't know exactly, but I'm just so glad to know you. I'm so happy I sat next to you, and it was just so cool that this worked out.
It's amazing when the universe works out like that, honestly. We share hawks in common. I mean, how often does stuff like that?
Who sits next to you and just says, yeah, there was a fire in the canyon, I got stuck for an hour, but I saw this hawk. I know. It's a sign. I believe in signs.
Yeah, I couldn't have written it better myself.
Well, thank you, Justin Mercer. Thank you for taking the chance with old Nance, because you didn't know who I was, but I appreciate you. I'm like, come up to my room. Nothing to be afraid of. And sit down in front of my Roadcaster, and here it is. So thank you so much, and I will be talking to you again.
Thank you for having me, and I'm looking forward to seeing your act tonight, because I also have tickets to that one that, I told you, I'm unsupervised. I just get told to go to places.
So. Oh, cool. So
yes.
we'll be talking to you.
Yeah, I'll see you at that one.
I'll see you tonight. I want to thank my guest, Justin Mercer. Thank you for jumping in there, doing this episode, and I hope to see you around Denver. I'd like to stay in touch, follow up, get his books. I want to get his books. I had this idea, Justin. I know you're listening. I hope. I just thought, okay, I think I mentioned on the podcast I'm an oral learner, and I want to get this on Audible, and I know you're thinking about maybe doing an Audible version, which I highly recommend. What about reading a chapter a week on YouTube? Just start a YouTube channel for each of your books and read us a chapter. I would so turn. I was going to say turn in. I guess we are going. Are you going to turn in for the night? That's kind of Ozark, but I would tune in and turn in. That would be a great bedtime story. I don't know. Maybe it's not a good bedtime story because I'm sure there's some really intense parts, but I would love to hear your book. So that's just a tip from old Nance. I want to thank my son, Nathaniel Norton. He's been very helpful to me. He and I are both moving into Boulder. I think I have one more year with him, which is going to be kind of like boot camp. I told him we're doing inspections, but he is wonderful. He's been helping me do a lot of technical stuff, and I want to thank him for creating the music loop and just for being my son. And thank you all for being listeners. Thank you for helping heal me. I hope this is helping heal you. Remember, no matter what, keep laughing. See you in September.